Equipped with dual fan cooling, upgradable and crazy powerful tiny computer, which on top is being advertised as a gaming mini PC. Is that right? Let's inspect. We have to admit it, these Windows-based mini computers are getting smaller and better each and every time, and this here comes from the company called GMKtec, the model called NucBox K6, which got my attention because, well, the promise is that the integrated graphics inside the CPU are as good as a dedicated NVIDIA GTX 1650, even better. So I had to thoroughly test it in order to discover all the strong and the weak sides and present to you everything that really matters about this Windows PC. So let's dive into it. Lately, there are a number of decent mini PC brands and competition is remarkably fierce. I believe most makers have already mastered the game about the specs, so now it's a matter of including better and more quality components, or giving more room for upgrades, or of course guaranteeing security and transparency of the software side. At the time I work on the video, the bare-bone NucBox K6 costs $589 and the maxed-out configuration is $869. It slightly undercuts some of the top-end B-Link models and is significantly lower in terms of price than most Korean and US-made brands. But I guess that not too many people have heard about GMKtec as a brand yet, so they definitely need to make a point, and this computer is an excellent opportunity. If you enjoy unboxing gear as much as I do, this part is certainly going to please you. Although the box looks quite plain, there are some clues what is to be expected. Still, somewhat more marketing stamped on the box could have been helpful, because this mini PC has a lot to be proud of. Well, the build is once again average, because plastic is not the most optimal material for good heat dissipation, which doesn't necessarily mean that there are going to be any thermal issues. A lot of ports on the back. I like the trend about 2 LAN ports. If someone is seeking for high availability through teaming or converting the mini PC to a firewall, this is a great match. There seem to be enough USB and display-related ports to ensure optimal and reliable connectivity to peripherals. Both of the sides are apparently optimized for airflow, and the top cover is once again easy to lift and remove, and we're going to take a look at the internals in just a moment. I first would like to get you up to speed with the tech specifications, because components such as the Ryzen 7 and the DDR5 memory should not be missed. Yeah, you can have up to 64 gigs of RAM, up to 4 TB NVMe storage, there's the AMD Radeon 780M integrated graphics, there's a dual-fan cooling system, Wi-Fi 6E compliant chip, Bluetooth 5.2, USB 4 implementation alongside the multiple USB 3 ports, 2.5 gigabit LAN ports, up to 3 monitors can be connected at the same time, and the operating system here is Windows 11 Pro for most of the configurations. I say most of them because you can buy the K6 in a bare-bone version, which would mean there's going to be no RAM and no storage inside, and that means no operating system because there's nothing to deploy it on. On the other hand, buying an edition with RAM and with storage is a lot more reasonable because you're pretty much getting your Windows 11 Pro license for free, and in my opinion that's quite a big deal. Other than that, there are 3 really important highlights related to the hardware inside. The first one is obviously the Ryzen 7 processor inside, which is exceptionally good and consumes very minimum amount of power, which kind of leads me to the second major thing. That would be the embedded Radeon 780M, which is supposedly better even than the dedicated NVIDIA GTX 1650. That will be quite remarkable, especially in terms of power consumption, because, well, the NVIDIA device, it's a dedicated GPU requiring 70 watts, and in here, the whole mini PC doesn't exceed this amount of power. And if you need more GPU, there's a USB Type-C port on the front, which is a USB 4 port, meaning that you can connect eGPUs. And additionally, the third major component inside, well, we're gonna check in a moment, but it's DDR5 memory, which you can max out up to 64 gigabytes in dual channel mode. That's gonna be quite spectacular performance. Speaking of which, I've performed a bunch of tests, but I think it would be fair to first try to disassemble and see our options to repair and upgrade. The previous time I've tested a GMKtec device, it had similar concept for the top cover. It is removable, without tools. Well, for the next layer, you're gonna need a screwdriver and a pry tool or a play card. Just be careful, don't pull too much, because the cable for the fan can get damaged. So, looks like this is the second fan, and it cools down the memory and the storage. Based on most of the tests performed online, you're most likely going to receive the unit with Lexar NVMe. In my case, I got a Mason Semi model, and I admit it, not a brand I'm familiar with. Performance of the drive is in fact good, much better than expected, especially concerning consistency. Still, it is a value model, so don't expect miracles in terms of performance. You can upgrade it to a model of your choice, and also you can add a second M2 drive in order to expand the storage capacity. Underneath the factory-installed M2, there's a MediaTek-made wireless module, which I'm super happy with. It is a Wi-Fi 6E adapter, and transfer speeds have been brilliant, nearing 70 megabytes per second in my home network, and so far it is among the fastest adapters I've seen on a mini PC. Drivers for this one are easy to find and seem to be compatible with many Linux distributions. You also get access to the RAM modules, SO DIMMs, and you can go for up to 64GB configuration by using two 32GB modules in dual-channel mode, which definitely has a positive impact on the overall performance. So at least here we have a match for hardware brought by an easy-to-recognize brand. As a conclusion, there's a good amount of components that you can replace or upgrade. While you can add some storage, there is no room for a 2.5-inch drive with larger capacity, and as usual for mini PCs, a CPU failure or a system board failure might turn this into a brick. Performance, on the other hand, is spot on. I did mention about my plans to have it as a backup video editing station. If you go for video production, it is the first mini PC I test this year, which shows stable and adequate handling of 4K footage. It of course depends on the type of the files, but yeah, UHD is doable, and it can handle lighter projects in a great manner. Here's another bonus. The USB 4 front port lets you attach an eGPU, which is external graphics adapter, and these ones are by nature a lot faster. Still, given the specs of these cases and the bottlenecks that conversions imply, you will notice that the RTX 2060 inside is not that much quicker than the embedded 780M. This is simply some stunning performance brought by AMD, something that was unthinkable up until recently. Gaming sort of confirms these statements. Have you ever imagined that a discrete adapter is going to produce such a high frame rate output when playing Counter-Strike? Even in 4K, the experience is super smooth, and if you tone down to 1080p, it just nails it. Why would somebody look for a gaming PC when everything that we seem to need is packed within the size of a burger? Additionally, from the BIOS, you can set the processor performance mode. Yeah, it may speed things up a little bit, but I guess the tests so far make it very clear that both the processor and the graphics are stellar, and this mini PC not only can handle any type of day-to-day tasks, but it's gonna stay relevant for many years from now, and at the same time, it's gentle about the electricity bill, because at maximum load, this is how much it's going to consume. Among the naturally interesting categories is also the multimedia topic. Nobody likes skipped frames or sluggish apps. K6 guarantees that this is never gonna happen. Most of the popular video and audio codecs are well handled by the CPU on a hardware level. You can run Plex, Kodi, web servers, whatever you like, it is compatible with the Windows build here, and on top, the up-to-date operating system is going to enhance your experience. Speaking of the software, Windows 11 Pro, perfectly well working, it's a clean build, and I found zero suspicious files, but if you do, please share this information in the comments below the video, because this is important. When you get the mini PC in your hands for the first time, you're gonna need to catch up with the updates, and once you are up to date, the system is going to offer such whenever they are available. Surprisingly, Microsoft are listening to their community lately, so there have been some good enhancements arriving in the past few months, which make this build more tempting than ever. For optimal results, I suggest going for quality and functional peripherals. A nice keyboard and mouse are certainly going to improve your productivity. Also, note that in here we have the Pro Edition of Windows, and it is in my opinion the much better choice as compared to the Home Edition. If you belong to the kind of people who would look around for drawbacks, well, the plastic case, not that I can notice any structural issues or worse heat dissipation, it's simply not that convincing. It looks great though. The absence of Oculink and the lack of power delivery option via USB and perhaps the rather steep price for a mini PC are also worth mentioning here. I think this is a pretty impressive Windows-based mini computer. Really remarkable, unthinkable. An integrated GPU can be quicker than some of the older NVIDIA GTX dedicated adapters, and now it's a reality. Certainly the price is high, but definitely this mini PC delivers, probably even over-delivers. So that's my take on the GMKtec NucBox K6. Well, I just had to read it because how to remember this name. In case you have questions or you want to share about your particular opinion, comments are the right place to do it. In case you want to support my work here on the channel, you can start by liking the video, subscribing, and of course checking some of the options that are listed in the video description area. Thank you very much for watching and for being here. I'm Michael the Tech Mishka and would love to see you in the next one. Enjoy your day. See you soon.